Answer.
Okay. All right. So, good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Prashant Gowda, Secretary in NF Karnataka chapter. So, as you all know, that the process of yeah. Is my voice audible? Is my voice audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Audible? Is my voice? The process
Yes,
of
Prashant.
building a good health infrastructure um, is on the way. So we have reached a stage of building a good pharmacy and the problems associated with the pharmacy and consumables, surgical consumables, non-surgical consumables, how we should go and how to handle all these things. So today we have two important topics. One is setting up a pharmacy according to the needs and application of the hospital. Pharmacy management software with hospital software integration and utility of pneumatic tube system for better efficiency. And that will be done by Dr. Suresh Vishwanthan. And the second topic will be on surgical items and expensive medicine, whether to buy or keep in pharmacy or get it whenever it is required. This will be done by Mr. Vinod Nair. And today's session will be moderated by myself and Dr. Dinakar sir. So we have panelists Kishore Kumar sir, Prashant Chinta, Mr. Syed is a pharmacist who is a main pharmacist in Trustwell Hospital, Bangalore. Earlier he was with us in Motherhood Hospital. He's got a vast experience in handling the pharmacy and he's been a pharmacy in charge for both the hospitals. Presently he's working in Trustwell Hospital. And we have Dr. Mukund, our pediatric surgeon, and whom I know him very personally, and he will be able to give his inputs on surgical items and other things, what doctor's perspective. So let's start the session. Once again, we would like to give a warm welcome to Dr. Suresh, who has been a phenomenal support for the entire webinar series, what we have been doing. Along with him, Mr. Vinod Nair, he has also been a very good, phenomenal support. So we would like to give a warm welcome on behalf of NNF Karnataka. Welcome, Dr. Suresh, and welcome, Mr. Vinod Nair. So I request now Dr. Suresh to start the session. Over to you, Dr. Suresh.
Thank you, Prashant. Let me share my screen. I hope you can see my slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that there are no glitches. So once again, thank you for having me over here. Pharmacy in itself is a fairly vast topic because it's very important to the functioning of the hospital, not only clinically, but as I'll show later, financially also. So it's actually, there are three parts to this talk. So let me take it step by step. So the first part is, setting up a pharmacy according to the needs and application of the hospital. So first of all, you need to be, I think there's an echo. So what you need to see is, what are your goals with setting up with the pharmacy? Why do you want a pharmacy? Most often it's because you want to have genuine quality medicines for your patients. As a businessman, as a hospital owner, you want to maximize revenue by having patients purchase from you. You want to make the experience pleasant enough so that patients do not go elsewhere, and minimize your costs, lower your purchasing cost and lowering operating costs. So maximizing revenue, minimizing cost automatically indicates maximizing your profits. Now, there is no one single solution that fits everyone. And just because I've given some guidelines between 50 beds and 150 beds and more, you don't have to stick to this. Each situation is unique. It depends on space available. But generally, smaller hospitals can have a single pharmacy for both outpatient and inpatients. Medium-sized hospital, it makes sense to split the inpatient and outpatient pharmacies just because of the kind of medicine that you stock is different for different categories of patients. And also, it entitles smoother flow, less waiting time. And larger hospitals will have multiple pharmacies, multiple outpatient, multiple inpatient pharmacies as required. And it's always a good idea to have a separate pharmacy stores, even if you're a single outlet. That way you receive stock in there, you have better control, and you issue stock to the retail unit only in limited quantities. So when talking about an outpatient pharmacy, what happens is during a typical visit, the patient has been waiting to get registered, to see the consultant. You've written some investigations, they've done the lab tests, they've done X-ray, CT. Now they've got the results, they come to the consultant. So they've spent the better part of the day there. And then the last thing that the patient wants to do is, when you've given them prescription, is spend more time in the hospital. And an added incentive is typically, most often, if you're a hospital that's doing well, or your hospital is in a location where there are many hospitals, you've got a discount pharmacy just outside your gate, and with a big sign offering 15%, 20% discount. So how do you capture these patients? There are some strategies, there are many, and it's just some of the things. It's like you locate the pharmacy, outpatient pharmacy, such that patients have to cross the pharmacy while leaving your hospital, while leaving the OP. Make it convenient. If you have a large OP block, have multiple pharmacies wherein patients can go to whichever's closer to them. Make the buying experience pleasant enough. No one wants to spend any more time in the hospital, and if you can minimize the time spent at the pharmacy, they're more likely to buy from you. Have adequate seating space for the patients, because they've given the medicine prescription and they're waiting for it to be fulfilled. You can also keep them engaged, typically not just have a TV in the outpatient area, but even a TV in the pharmacy waiting area while they wait for the medicines, a coffee shop to kill time. One of the other strategies that I've not mentioned here is, if you've got a computerized system, we're talking about HIS integration, the pharmacy prescription can actually be generated and sent to the pharmacy, where the pharmacy, the patient actually goes there and picks up the prescription, irrespective of whether they're going to buy from you or not. The collection center for the prescription is at the pharmacy or just outside the pharmacy. The idea is to bring them into the pharmacy and then get them to buy. So again, when it comes to inpatient pharmacies, you've got to, I'm sorry, the word inpatient is missing here. When it comes to inpatient, there are two strategies that are followed by hospitals for non-insurance patients. When it's insurance, it's more because it's all reimbursement. But either you can give them medicines on credit and they're billed at the time of discharge. Okay, I think there's a small problem with my slides. It's a bit interchanged. It's cash and carry should be on the left and credit should be on the right. I'm sorry about that. There's been a little mix up here, but I hope I can correct it with my talk. So when it's credit, that means they're being billed at the time of discharge. It's a composite bill. That means no GST is applicable for the medicine sales, but they're likely that the patient might have a bill shock, as in they suddenly see that a huge bill and they're unable to distinguish between the consultant's charges, the hospital's charges, and the pharmacy charges. And you automatically get more requests for concession, and because the bill is larger, it becomes more difficult to give a concession, because there's a cost of goods in the medicines also. It's more suited for larger city corporate hospitals, wherein patients are used to this. Whereas in smaller hospitals and tier 2, 3 cities, we do cash and carry, wherein the inpatient also pays to procure medications during the course of treatment. This is the point that's interchanged. When you bill medicine separately, GST is applicable, but for the patient, because they're paying it like in installments, it is more palatable. However, concession requests cannot be avoided, but at least the patient is paid for the medicines. And like I said, it's more suitable for non-corporate hospitals. There is a licensing requirement to start a pharmacy. A separate license is required for each and every pharmacy. These are the guidelines for Tamil Nadu. It does vary a bit between state to state, but generally there is a process involved, and it comes under the drug inspector, and be prepared to have a lot of regular inspections from them. But rather than me going through this point by point, because each state is different, you can get it from your drug department or online. but you need to fulfill this for each pharmacy. So if you've got 2 pharmacies, each has to be separately licensed. Quick word about the need for a pharmacist. You need to submit a pharmacist certificate. Ideally, a pharmacist is working there. And if you're having a 24-hour operation, you need 3 certificates because they're supposed to be manning, the pharmacy is supposed to be manned by a pharmacist at all times. So that's just a bird's eye view of setting up a pharmacy and what are the things you do to successfully run a pharmacy. The meat of the subject today is the pharmacy management software and a little bit on integration if you have a HIS. Now, what is a pharmacy management system? Most often what happens is people purchase a HIS and a pharmacy management system is bundled in it. And in the US and most other Western countries, pharmacy management system is a separate vertical by itself. It's separate software and often separate vendors who specialize in that. In India, it's typically a combined offering, but that doesn't mean you should compromise on the features. So typically, a pharmacy PMS includes sales, purchase, and inventory management. This is true of any trading operations, but there's much more to it. And in a pharmacy, let's go a little bit deeper into that. So apart from the purchase management, you want to do price checking, credit notes. Then you've got the selling portion, which is the next part. And then you want to minimize pilferage because it's easy to happen in a pharmacy. There are very small drugs, small items that can be very expensive. Unique requirements where you maintain a scheduled drugs register, which means certain drugs are classified as Schedule H, Schedule X, and multiple schedules. So all sales of scheduled drugs have to be maintained in a register with the patient's name and address, and it's so much more easier when it's computerized. Smaller pharmacies actually used to have a register, but I don't think there's any pharmacy today, even a small pharmacy, that doesn't use computerized billing. Pharmaceutical items are perishable. They have a definite shelf life, so there's expiry management. You want to monitor dead stock. You want to monitor productivity of your staff. Bin management, because you can have a large number of items. Even a small pharmacy can have a few thousand items. So you want to make sure that bin management is there. I'll be explaining a bit more in detail about each one of these items. And a dashboard that allows you to monitor everything that's happening. So to start off with, the first step is obviously purchasing medicines, and you want a purchase management solution, and along with price check. I'll explain what I mean by that. So it's the process by which you identify your distributor, wholesale distributor, and you purchase different drugs. Often different manufacturers have multiple wholesalers and you can buy from many of them, but you want to know who's giving you the best price. So it starts with framing of policies as to who you're buying it from, stocking it, your payment policies. If you have good payment policies, as in you pay them almost immediately, you can expect better discounts, cash discounts from them. Whereas typically wholesalers are willing to give anywhere between 30 to 60 days credit, but obviously you will not get any discount on that. And a pharmacy management software, that's where I come to the price check. It should automatically suggest previous purchase prices so that you know that the cost at which you're buying it now has not gone up. Or even if it's gone up, what is the MRP of your previous item? And this should also be there while creating purchase orders to the supplier. So quickly, I'll just show you a typical purchase screen. This is what we use. So when you receive items from the wholesaler, you can see this box that's highlighted there that shows different items that have been purchased. This is just another screen. So here, these are 2 items that have been added, and a red arrow means my purchase cost for this particular product has gone up, and a green symbol means my purchase cost has come down. The reason it's showing up and down is basically my profit is reduced on the first item, whereas my profit on the second item has gone up. And if you look at this window over here, let me zoom to that. This actually shows my cost price. Often what happens is you're given offers along with, if you're buying, say, 10 strips of particular item, they give you 2 strips free, or if you buy 20, they give you 3 strips free, etc. And in that time, you want to know what is the effective cost of what you've purchased. And if the price has gone up, whether the MRP at which you're selling it has gone up, otherwise your profits are going to come down. Then you need to track credit notes. Often you'll be returning items to the vendor, to the distributor rather, because it might be wrong supply, wrong billing, and with GST, you can no longer modify an invoice. Once its invoice is created, it should not be modified. If there are to be any returns for any reason, even a wrong billing, breakage, or just excess inventory, they have to issue what's known as a credit note. They can't modify the invoice that's given to you. So a credit note, in short, is used in any circumstance where the invoice has to be changed. A credit note is like cash, so you want to know before making payments to any supplier whether the credit note is already there and can be substituted for a cash payment. So, for example, in this screen, this particular supplier, East West Pharma, has got a credit note, has issued a credit note for 132 rupees to me, and these are the items for which it was against, which it was issued to me earlier. Next comes to the critical part of the pharmacy, creating the sales bill. That is the bill that's given when you sell the medicine. And drugs also, medicines have batch numbers. So as the legal requirement is, you have to print the batch number on the bill, and you have to issue the medicines that match the batch number. It's easy to have mix and match batch numbers, so that inevitably what happens is what is being billed and what is issued can be two different batch numbers of the same medicine. That can cause problems because they might have different expiries, and customers now are very smart. They check everything expiry, batch number, and for your inventory, you have to be matching batch numbers makes sense. So there are various ways to improve upon this. If you have a barcoded system wherein all your stock is barcoded, then a simple scan of the barcode will automatically match your expiry, your batch number, and make billing much more smoother and much faster. One of the features we have is we also add, when we bill the patient, we also add information as to instructions on, morning, afternoon, night, before food, after food. So having information captured like that allows you to print a label that can be stuck on the medicine that's been issued to the patient with instructions telling what needs to be done. So a quick look at the barcode label that I was showing you. If you see, it avoids mistakes. This barcoding is done at the time of purchasing and receiving. All items are barcoded, and you have all the relevant information there: the medicine name, the quantity of packing, whether it's tens per strip, the batch number, the expiry, and even the manufacturer. So one scan of this barcode means the information is directly captured into your system. And all this is in a label that's just about an inch and half an inch in height. Like I said, if you capture the prescription information, we can print these labels. Normally what happens is the pharmacist scribbles it on the cover. This makes it more professional, prevents any mistakes, and is easier to trace. Being in India with a huge multilingual population, there should be an option for vernacular or multilingual instructions too. Now, inventory management. The key part of running a pharmacy is going to be your inventory management. Too much inventory and you've sunk money in the unproductive money. Too less inventory and you're not going to be able to fulfill customer requirements, and they're going to go back. Typically, if, for example, there are 5 or 6 items in a prescription and you do not have one, most customers do not want to buy one item alone. They'll say, never mind, I'll go buy it somewhere else. So you want to make sure that you fulfill that entire prescription. So it's a fine art having the right level of inventory without affecting your sales. So as I say in business terms, it means right stock at the right levels, at the right place, right time, and right cost and right price as well. You should have an order wanted book so that if there are any stock requirements in the retail, it can quickly be added for purchase. ABC analysis is the most common analysis that's being done on any inventory system. You classify items into A, B, and C. So expensive items, there's something called the 20/80 rule, and 20% of your inventory will contribute about 80% of your value. And if you can classify them as A items, those inventory have to be tightly maintained. You can do what's known as cycle counting, which is basically do daily checks of really expensive items or do shelf-wise inventory check. And then Likewise, B is less tightly controlled, and C can be the cheapest items. I mean, something like paracetamol, Calpol, which is just a few rupees. You don't want to be spending time and energy looking at the minutiae and saying, I want to control. There are shortage of 2-3 paracetamol tablets, Calpol tablets, whereas you're more concerned about the more expensive items. And having the right inventory management system can build a just-in-time inventory. That means Toyota is famous for this. You get the stocks just in time before you issue and sales to the patient. So inventory management, the system should provide vital information about the product while you're placing orders. You can have automatic reorder levels. That means when the stock goes down below a certain level, the system automatically prompts you saying, this item has gone below 50, and we normally should have 100 at any given time. So let's order another 50. You also keep track of which doctor prescribes this medicine, so that when you stock something new, you want to know who has asked for this. You also have a list of vendors that you've purchased for, the prices. And if you have multiple locations inside, what is the stock at different locations? This is the scheduled drug sales register I was telling you about, which has all the information automatically captured and generated. So you can just take a printout and sign it. Expiry management is important, especially, like I said, we have expensive items that can easily expire. So here you see the screen that we have a billing screen. And at the time of billing, there's a prompt saying that this product has expiry less than 60 days. So there's a prompt anytime the medicine comes below 90 days. You constantly remind the person at the retail saying, this is a product is going to expire. So often if you have adequate lead time, you can return it to the manufacturer, to the distributor if it's not expired, but once it's expired, they will not take it back. So if you've already got something that's expired, the system will not allow you to bill it. Expired medicines cannot be billed and automatically block you from making that billing. Hopefully you do not come to this stage. And you can also take a report saying that what are the items and what are the expiry and what is the value of expired items. Now, the other big thing other than expired items is something called dead stock. Dead stock is something that's unsold for a certain period of time. You can define whether it's the period of whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 1 year. And any item that you've spent on buying, anything that's stuck as dead stock is money stuck there, and you're not selling it, that you can't recover it. Unless you sell it, you're not going to be recovered. Dead stock is inevitable, but you try to minimize it. Your PMS should identify which items haven't been sold in a while, so they can take proactive action and return it to the wholesaler. And your PMS should allow you to tag new medication. Anytime you buy a new medicine, even if you have a pharmacy committee and they've decided to buy it, usually it happens because a certain doctor or certain groups of doctors have said, we want you to stock this medicine. So if you can tag it saying, these are the doctors that have asked you to stock this medicine, you know that they, sometimes they just ask it and they're never going to prescribe it. So the next time they ask for something, you can have better control and not order too many of the same thing. The PMS can also monitor productivity. You can see who's your most productive employee. What you see here is known as a heat map. Tells you at different times of the day and different days of the week, when have they been most productive, what is their sales, number of bills that they're billing, the value, etc. So this gives you an idea of which of your employees are more productive, which of your employees are idling away. Bin management. Any good inventory management needs bin management. Bins are nothing but locations identified inside your pharmacy. So it could be a rack, it could be a tray, or it could also be a location. And each medicine, you create bins, and each medicine is assigned to a particular bin. Excuse me. So anytime you get a restocking, it should be placed in the same bin. That means when the pharmacist is looking to pick up those items and build them, they know exactly where to go to. The software should also tell you where it is, because you get new pharmacists on the roll. They don't know where to go and pick up a particular item. The system should tell them, go to shelf A2 or bin C3, where they can directly go and pick it up. So both inventory coming in and inventory going out should be correctly placed in the right bin. A good bin management results in quick picking of items and less wastage. It brings me to the MIS, or Management Information System dashboard. A dashboard is a tool for information management and business intelligence. Just like you have, it gets its word from your car dashboard, just like when you sit in your car, you look at your dashboard, you know your speed, your RPM, your fuel, if the check engine light is on, etc. That way, a good dashboard allows you to see what's happening in your pharmacy, and you can drill down by clicking on certain items. If you suddenly say sales has dropped on a particular day, or sales has gone up, you can click and see why has it gone up, what is the reason, etc. And a good MIS dashboard can become a crucial tool for decision making and resource allocation. So this is a typical MIS dashboard. You can look at on a particular day, what is your purchase, what is your sales, what is your stock quantity. These are all dummy values, so please don't go by this. It also shows me my unsold stock, my aging stock. So that means unsold for 60 days. I've actually got some items that have not been sold since the day I purchased them. I can also do comparisons between previous year and the current year for each month, and then also look at who are my top prescribing doctors, which are the medicines that are selling the most, and amongst my salesmen, who's doing really well this week, and compared to their previous position, have they gone up or have they gone down? So this is just a typical dashboard. So that's a bird's eye view of pharmacy software. There's a lot more I can go in depth, because a pharmacy software demonstration itself can be a multi-hour affair. So let me quickly jump to HIS integration. HIS, a hospital information system, should at the very least have what's known as CPOE, computerized provider or physician order entry. What that means is, earlier you used to write prescriptions on your hand, lab investigations, they should be computerized. When you've got a computerized prescription order entry, or provider order entry, it can reduce errors, it improves patient safety, it can improve efficiency, it can improve reimbursements for insurance if it's an insurance patient, and it also allows you to keep track of what's happening. So this is a typical CPOE receipt that's been printed. The barcode's actually been cropped off on the top. So what happens if this is issued? They can just take it to the pharmacy, they can scan this barcode, and instantly they know what is the prescription. They don't have to do a double entry. They can immediately start collecting the medicines, picking the medicines. So a CPOE on the HIS with PMS integration should have at least the following benefits. One is NABH requires double verification, so you can have accurate identification of patients. It can also give you a real-time stock status as a hospital owner or prescribing medicine, and your system says you do not have adequate stock. You can also look at alternatives, so that instead of Calpol, I want to give Metacin, which I've got stock. So that way you're writing a prescription that you have in stock. The system not only tells you what is your stock position, it also tells you what is the alternative for that with the same combination. It also allows you to do lost sales analysis. That means you have an accurate count of how many prescriptions that you've given and how many that were not fulfilled at your pharmacy. Quick billing at the pharmacy, because the information is already in the system and they can directly start picking it. So that's in brief HIS integration. There's a lot more that can be done on the inpatient side, going into EMR, but like I said, it's a really in-depth topic. So quickly on pneumatic tube systems. Pneumatic tubing systems are now picking up popularity in hospitals in India, but it's a very old system. It's been there for 200 years. Typically has pipes connecting different locations and allows you to send lab samples, medications, blood bags, reports, files quickly. Earlier it used to be X-ray films, but now hospitals are going digital over there. It uses compressed air to push and vacuum to pull these capsules, and like an intercom system, you can dial a destination and it automatically branches and goes out. Especially in larger setups where pharmacies and larger campuses, your laboratory and stores can be consolidated into a single location with efficient dispatch. So I just have a quick video. This is a typical pneumatic tube system. You dial the destination. And it's received. So it literally takes seconds to minutes to send anything from one end to the other. It's just-in-time delivery to the doorstep. It cuts waiting time for critical medication supplies, lab investigations. It reduces your manpower requirements. Often when I talk about PTSs, people tell me, but manpower costs are cheap in India. I can hire 10 people. But it's not just an issue of having low cost manpower. As all of you are aware, manpower is no longer low cost in India. But these people take time off, they take leaves, then your service levels start dropping. PTS is a highly reliable system, works without obviously any break time or day off. It improves patient experience and quality of care because you're definitely providing better care. The disadvantage is the capex can be high. Benefits are seen only when you've got just like your metro, just a point to point doesn't deliver value. It's only when you have a network of stations across the hospital that it becomes very useful. The ROI on investment on the capex can take time. So just before I conclude, quite often people do ask, should I outsource my pharmacy? When you run your pharmacy, there are advantages. Pharmacy contributes about 25 to 30% of your revenue and can be up to 50% of your profits. It allows you to have better control on inventory and quality. By that, I mean, you know what is being stocked. It's not being replaced by some other manufacturer. It prevents unethical practices like kickbacks if it's an outsourced pharmacy. But the disadvantage is, again, if you're setting up a hospital, it's not your core expertise. There's definitely an additional management overhead required. And you have to ensure that the purchase team who's entrusted with purchasing, stocking, are not getting commissions from the wholesaler. And it's very easy to run into excess stock, and stock can pile up into the lakhs. So this is just a quick, overview, and I think there'll be questions at the end of the session. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Thank you. Wonderful. Whatever necessary things required to start a pharmacy, the problems, the difficulties, the future, and how to handle man management, human resource management. You have summed it up really nice. Wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Now I request Mr. Vinod Nair. Mr. Vinod?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, I request you to start the session.
Sure. Can you see the slide, doctor?
Yes. Okay. We can see. Go ahead.
Okay, so today I will be taking the surgical instruments, how when you start a new hospital or existing hospital, what all the sets for the OT as well as for the OPD you need to buy as per the basics sets are all depending on the doctors as well as the hospital which they need. Even the sets also depending on the doctors and the OT professional. So what I want to just to tell about when you select the instruments, some of the things which you need to keep it in mind that what grade of steel which they're using when they manufacture any vendor when they manufacture the instruments. So I will come to that, what kind of grades of steels which normally used for the surgical instruments, good quality surgical instruments. So then the manufacturing process, that's the main thing which we need to look in when you're talking to, I'm sure that if it's an owner of a hospital, you may be talking to the manufacturer or vendor, or the purchase manager or professional will be talking to them. So when they're talking to them, this is one of the key things for long lasting of the instruments. We need to keep it in mind, the manufacturing process of that one. Also, we need to check, with the manufacturer whether they can do a customization, because some doctors need for their own way, which they need a customization of this one. Examples are made of retractors, the length of the instruments, the curve of the clamps. Depending on that one, the doctor's choice, the vendor should or the manufacturer should customize that one. Then next is the durability. Also, we need to think about the cost, because if Indian instruments are available in a very good cost with a long durability, the same instruments which is imported from outside, it will be 3 or 4 times or 5 times costlier than the Indian ones. So coming as to the once you or anybody buy the instruments, after that the after sales support, because after 1 year the alignment can create problem, the sharpness can go, or the usage of the instruments can be in different way by the OT team, so that can create issue. So once you go, or you know that one before your surgery, 3 4 hours before you need to do the autoclave. So the surgery also keep coming like that. So the last moment only the OT team may be saying that I don't have these particular instruments. Immediately call the vendor and say that one, I have a surgery tomorrow morning and I need to get these instruments. So the after sales support is one thing which you need to consider when you are talking to the vendor or selecting to the vendor. So the manufacturing process, which is, I want to just to take quickly to know that one, how the manufacturing is happening for the surgical instruments. The first stage of the instrument is forging. This is a process for shaping metal parts through compressive force, either hot or cold stage. There are two types of forging process involved normally surgical instruments manufacturing. One is hand forging, that is normally most of the people using, and hammer forging, which is in a bulk quantity manufacturing people use. Also after that one, there is a press work happening. Then the next stage is actually the milling. Milling is a material removal process which can create a variety of features on the part of cutting away the unwanted material through milling. Different features such as serration, ratchets, mail, lot of things can happen on that one. The next process is grinding and filling. This is a material removing process using different type of grinding wheels and files. This is another process, the third process of, as per the ISO and CE certification, this is the third process is coming. Then after that one, the heat treatment process will be there. Heat treatment is done to change the instrument's physical and mechanical properties without changing the original shape or size of that particular instrument. At this stage, each instrument passes through heat treatment, which determines a considerable extent to the operating characteristics of the instruments. Then coming to the hardness test, that is test, there is a spelling mistake. So hardness test, which will be performing after heat treatment. Then one of the key stage in this is the chemical treatment. The main purpose of chemical treatment is to clean the surface of the steel part if carried out properly. And they all increase the corrosion's resistance. So if you don't do a proper, I mean, the particular person is not, or the manufacturer don't do this chemical treatment properly, that's the main cause for tomorrow the corrosion can happen. So then another, along with this chemical treatment, there is something called the passivation. The passivation performed when free iron oxide scale and rusting iron particle can all remove from the surface of these particular instruments. Then the polishing will happen, ultrasound cleaning is happen, final finish, then the quality assurance. That's the way the manufacturing process is happening. So the just for your information, I just put it this one. And when you are selecting some instruments, you should be talking to the vendor or manufacturer what kind of steel which they're using. So there are two types of steel which are normally using for manufacturing the instruments. One is magnetic stainless steel and non-magnetic stainless steel. So in magnetic stainless steel, there are 3 or 4 types of steels which you're using. One is the stainless steel 410 and 410X. This is normally using for gripping instruments like forceps, tweezers, dressing forceps, retractors. That kind of instruments normally using for 410 and 410X. Then the next category is 420A. This steel is using normally for cutting instruments like bone rongers, chisels, gouges, scissors with carbon inserts. That is actually the tungsten carbon and needle holder standard, as well as for the tungsten carbon tip, which is using for a microsurgeries like cardiac and neuro or urology kind of something. And the third one is 420B, which is used for high grade cutting in instruments like micro scissors and the angled scissors like pot scissors and bond rongers. These all using this particular steel. Then the next category comes non-magnetic stainless steel, which is 304 grade, which normally used for making cannulas, clamps, holders, spreaders, suction tubes, etc. Also, this 300 series will use for making the implants, for ortho implants as well as the spine implants, stainless steel implants, not the titanium one, which they use that as well. So when I come to the sets which is using in this is a standard set which I want to say that's totally depending on doctors and the OT professional team and the hospital can go for what kind of sets they use. These are the standard sets using in most of the hospitals. For the ward and departmental, that's OPD, which we normally using the aspiration set, dressing set, cup sets. So that's depending on the size of the bed and size of the OT, size of the OPD. They may be buying multiple sets of the same size. So the same thing, some doctors will come, I don't want ENT set, I don't want loop removal sets. So they may wanted to add some more sets to the ward, which is depending on then what kind of specialities which they're going to. Next is the general surgery. So these are the normal sets in a hospital where the general surgery performed, the OT. With the previous one was OPD. This from here onwards, the OT set starts. So all OT that you need to use or the doctor need to use the high quality surgical instruments, which the laparotomy set, hernia, appendix. You can just go through that one and that again general surgery depending on the general surgeon, which he will say that I don't want this particular set, even the set itself. I don't want this, or I don't want Alice forceps 10 numbers. I need only 8 numbers. I don't need artery forceps 10 numbers. I need towel clips 10 more. That's all depending on the doctor's taste or depending on the doctor's usage. They may change the quantity of each and every instruments coming in each set. So this is normally the general surgery sets coming, and depending on the instruments adding into each set, the cost of course will be going up and down. So normally the gynec and OBG, these are the sets which is coming, DNC set, LSCS, MTP, normal delivery, cord cutting sets. So that also depending on the volume of patients which you are getting in gynec and OBG, depending on that one, the doctors may be asking, I need 3 sets of DNC, I need 5 sets of DNC. Sometimes they'll say I need only the MTP set, I don't need only 1. I don't need copper T sets, which we are not using nowadays in our hospital. So that's again depending on the doctors, the gynec doctor, the quantity of each sets and the instruments comes in that one. Sometimes they will say, I don't want it as sets, I need instruments. I'll give a list of instruments. Give me cuscus speculum this much, I need a C retractor this much. Like that, some doctors will select only the instruments instead of the sets, and the OT head or OT staff will be making depending on their taste. They will be changing the sets. So pediatric, I just put only 3, which here Dr. Mukund can give more information on that one, what all the sets normally using in pediatric on that one. But the pediatric, the size of the instruments will be smaller than compared with the adult the instruments which people manufacture. So same way, ENT, there are multiple sets. If you have an ENT specialty in your hospital, there will be multiple. This is, I just put only 7 to 8 sets here, but there are more sets which involved into ENT, where all manufacturers may not be manufacturing the ENT because it's little complicated compared with other um, the general or gynae. General, gynae, and ortho, most of the manufacturers manufacture. But ENT, neuro, cardiac, and all compared with the others, most of them won't manufacture. So these are the something which is because ENT is the one specialty which is the instruments which we can use only for ENT. But for general surgery or gynec surgery or any other specialty, if we take it, 60 to 65% of the instruments will be common. Example, Alice, Artery, Babcock, Cocker, towel clip, you name it, different doins. It's all will be retractors, some SR retractors. It's all will be common in most of the specialty. But in ENT case, it will be special for only for ENT. Ortho also same way, there will be some around 40% of the instruments will be specialized only for ortho, like bone rongers, the osteotome, like that, different scopes, and the self-retaining retractors, and bone files, that kind of lot things will be only for orthos. Other than this one, the normal major and minor set, lot of different specialities that will be the like broken nail remover, tibia system, like the multiple instrument sets which is there for different kind of surgeries, which I'm not mentioned here. That is depending on the ortho surgeon. He specialized in what he wanted to do. Based on that one, people will manufacture and give to the hospital. Neuro is another very critical specialty, which we need a very micro instruments for neuro. These are some of the sets which normal neurosurgeons use. But this will be most of them very delicate instruments which we need to manufacture for the neurosurgery, like TC tipped or tungsten carbide one or titanium based instruments. That also very lightweight that the doctors prefer, because most of the surgery through neuro they may doing through microscope. Sometimes for tumor surgery they may need very lightweights. Also, there's some kind of retractor. The right side you can see called Lila retractor, which is very little complicated to manufacture that one. So Lila retractor, which when we are selecting, it should be, I can say, pursuit of perfection kind of way we need to make it. The black one, which you can see, that's a three-pin head setter, which is connected to the OT table for keeping the head properly before the surgery. So this is one thing which, again, all the manufacturer may not be manufacturing, because this is little complicated, and perfection should be more in neuro selection. Just coming to the cardiac, again, cardiac is like neuro. Again, doctors prefer for very lightweight instruments, and in cardiac, most of the doctors will prefer for the micro scissors and micro, forceps, like half round handle instead of a plain handle. You can see in the picture, including needle holder and pot scissor and scissors, all they go for a half round with the lock or without lock kind of this one. And the retractors, the Felicitone retractor, which you can see, that one, that is a rib retractor. So that all kind of single blade, 3 blade, 2 blade, and depending on the doctors, and that is on the adult and pediatric, and will be available. That's all depending again the cardiac surgeon and the vascular surgeon, whether he's specialized in pediatric or in adult. Depending on that, the instruments also will be changing, and the length of the instruments will be changing. Any cardiac surgery, most of the doctors again prefer the instruments like needle holder, scissors, or anything, or tying forceps, or vascular forceps. All they prefer very lightweight in that one. This also specialized manufacturing like neuro. So these are the specialities which I want to tell, and these are some of the sets also coming. and these are some of the instruments which is coming. So only thing you say, which I wanted to say, that when you are selecting instruments, only thing is you have to talk to the manufacturer or the distributor, that what is the steel which they're using, because you are looking for a long lasting which instruments, as well as when you are doing an autoclave, actually it should not get a corrosion should not happen. That's the basic things which I was just mentioned, that when you are talking to the manufacturer or the vendor, or you or your purchase people need to discuss this. Also, in OT, when you may have an OT, sister will be there, or a brother will be there, because they can also support you, that to minimize. Some people will just buy like that multiple instruments. You should go through that one when you get a set. The surgeon need to go through that one, whether it's required, the quantity, whether we need this much, because otherwise you are unnecessarily spending the money. So these are some of the things which we need to look into, that when you are procuring these surgical instruments. So my name is Vinod Nair. My company name is THC, based out of Bangalore, and we manufacture high quality surgical instruments, which all the specialities, and we know our products very well, so we give 8 years warranty. If anything happened in 8 years in our surgical instruments, we will be responsible for that one. So I'm available till the end of this session. If any questions, I will take once the discussion starts. Thank you. Over to Dr. Prashant.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vinod. Uh, I'm sure the audience have got a clear idea about the pharmacy management, surgical consumable management. Now I request our panelist for today, Dr. Kishore Kumar sir, to start with. I request him to give his inputs and his experience. Sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Now, at the outset, I really want to congratulate both the speakers, especially Suresh, because for a doctor, right, talking about pharmacy, such a comprehensive way, it's very, very difficult. I think in such a short time, he has enlisted virtually whatever anybody needs to know about pharmacy. It was a fantastic session, both by Vinod and Suresh, and I think they have covered everything in bullet points or whatever points, and there's hardly any more discussion. But if anybody wants to more details, then we can talk about it. The only thing is, see, in the US, there is a new trend now. It may not be applicable to hospitals like ours or small hospitals or maternity or newborn care, but if you have a multi-specialty hospital and your consumables are in crores, say for example, you're consuming 25 catheters for angioplasty and 60 hip replacement equipments and things like that, you negotiate with the company. The company keeps the stock and supplies you on the day of the surgery. The reason for that is, once you consume that on the day of the surgery, then you get 6 weeks to pay the company. So essentially your cash flow improves significantly. So you don't buy and keep it in your pharmacy. Essentially that company itself behaves like a pharmacy store. So your cash flow is so high that you actually making more profit, because you would have collected the money from the patient, collected the money from the insurance before you pay the consumer, the industry. So that sort of a thing exists depending on the amount of the consumables which is involved. Small amounts, people won't do it, but the trend is starting here, and people have started demanding the middlemen, if you want to call it, because they're the distributors, and to squeeze them enough to get the maximum benefit. Other than that, I think Suresh has covered virtually everything, starting from how to increase the revenue. I think those are the points which we learned over a period of years after starting hospital, because he mentioned about how to generate or increase the revenue in the pharmacy by using electronic prescription. So we mandated everybody to do the electronic prescription. So the patients have to actually go to pharmacy, pick the prescription. And most of them land up buying there when they go to pharmacy. Otherwise, they look at the pharmacy, oh, they say it's crowded, let me go and buy somewhere else. So those are the practical points which Suresh has actually addressed, and it is very, very comprehensive. And I think it'll be a good discussion, whatever questions anybody wants to ask. Back to you, Prashant.
Yeah, Dr. Suresh has raised his hands. Dr. Suresh, after that, Dr. Monica.
Hi, Dr. Kishore. Good to see you again.
Hi, Suresh. Yeah. Congratulations. It was a very comprehensive and I very impressive.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to put a word that the consignment basis is already available in India for quite some time. Companies like Abbott and Stents or Ethicon and Smith, when it comes to implants, they already do that on a consignment basis where they keep the stock in the hospital and then do periodic audits. You're supposed to update them, and they also do periodic audits. And like you said, they bill you after you use it.
Correct. No, but these are all American companies because this is the American trend which has started. Sure. Non-American companies may not be doing it. And even the American companies, as you rightly say, Abbott and these people do implants and other things only because of the cash magnitude involved. So if for a maternity center, if you ask, give me 100 ampules of vitamin K, they'll say, get lost. So it's peanuts for anybody.
True.
That's what I meant.
Dr. Monica, you can unmute yourself and you can ask it. Raise the hand. Yeah. Now I'll invite our next panelist to share their experience. Dr. Mukul. We request you to.
Yes, doctor. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Dr. Mukul.
Yeah, it was a nice presentation, no? Because only the I was concerning the OT requirements, no, to whether to stock the not frequently used items, no. I feel because as a pediatric urologist, no, I want digestant, guide wires, or the hypospadiastant, no. So those has to be stocked. I mean, it's not very expensive, but the expiry becomes a problem. But when I ask for a 6 French, it say that 6 French I used it last month. Today the 6 French is not available. It becomes a very cumbersome because when you're doing a reconstructive surgery, it has to be there in the pharmacy, and somewhere the pharmacist has to see the expiry date and make a good turnover. Keeping certain things is very, very important. As a surgeon, if I don't have a 6 French and I want a 7 French, if it is not there, I becomes very annoyed, and the outcomes of the reconstructive surgery becomes a compromised situation. So I feel certain things has to be stocked at the cost of losing some money because expiry things becomes a big problem. So that is because again the suture material, sometimes I use 7060 and those has to be stocked, and the expiry has to be tracked by the pharmacist, and there should not be a loss to the organization.
Yes, Dr. Mukund. I think for this, Kishore Kumar sir can give a response for this, how to handle such type of situation where surgeon is asking certain things to be kept and it is a little expensive. How to handle it? Kindly unmute yourself, sir. Unmute.
Sorry, it all comes down to how many, what is the volume and how frequent the consumption is. I'm not talking about pediatric surgery. Let me give you one example. When we had a neurosurgeon one day wanted to have a different sizes of VP shunt, and he was upset that it was not kept in stock and it's an emergency, blah, 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 and all that. Now, how often do we consume a VP shunt? Probably one in 1 year, maybe once in 2 years, for the traffic we have and things like that. So it's very difficult to keep those sort of things, different sizes, expecting. So it is a relationship between the doctor and the hospital. And sometimes the elective surgeries, if you are planning, say for example, he talked about hypospadias and you say these are the things I need, give 1 or 2 days advance notice and the hospital can procure and make an arrangement with the supplier saying that we will pay you whatever we consume. If you don't consume, we'll return it back. So in that way, it's not a dead stock for the hospital. It is not a cumbersome for the surgeon because whatever he needs, he will have. So these are all the things which can be planned well in advance so that it avoids the problem on both sides. No hospital will say, no, no, we won't give it to you. You have to work with whatever we have and things like that. Obviously, everybody wants to make sure the outcomes are better and whatever the doctor needs is given. But if you are going to consume them once in blue moon, then the hospital may not stock it. I'm not talking about the pediatric surgery because pediatric surgery as a routine is frequent. Having said that, the trend of pediatric surgery is changing in the cities like Bombay and Bangalore because nowadays any abnormality that is being picked up on antenatal scans, people are terminating the babies. So I'm not talking this in rural areas. Urban areas, it's definitely happening. And we are not seeing the pediatric surgeons do major surgeries except for hernias, hypospadias, club foot, and those sort of things. So diaphragmatic hernia, cystic adenomatous malformations, and all that we haven't seen in last few years as the numbers are coming down, mainly because a lot of people are terminating their pregnancy. Whether I don't know where they're terminating, but definitely we don't do it in Cloud9. So what it means is the pediatric surgeons skills are coming down because they're just doing hernias and circumcisions and hypospadias and pyeloplasties. Major pediatric surgeries are almost down. And improved neonatal care is making other surgeries very, very less frequent in the private sector, like meningomyelocele repair, VP shunt, hydrocephalus repairs, and all the things. So it all comes down to how often do you do the surgeries, how much consumption you have, and what is the cash flow of the hospital. So it's a symbiotic arrangement between the doctor and the hospital. I'm sure Suresh is in a similar situation in Salem. He can probably throw some light on that.
Yeah. Dr. Suresh, I was about to tell. Over to you, Dr. Suresh.
Actually, the audio is a little bit unclear. What was the version? It was about stocking and not unavailability, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like, Dr. Mukund is our pediatric surgeon.
Okay.
So from his doctor's perspective, he was telling that there are certain things, even if hospital management have to undergo loss, they have to keep it. So what is your take on that? How to solve this problem?
I agree with him. Sometimes for completion's sake, if you're projecting yourself as a center doing, covering the whole gamut, you will have to take the risk on certain items. It may not be, like he said, it might be used once in a blue moon or it might get expired. The nice thing about certain consumables, like not medication, but consumables like catheters, they can be ETO'd, so expiry is not exactly a loss because they are reused in India. But if you're projecting yourself as a one-stop solution, a one-stop center, you will have to take that overhead.
Yeah. So now I request our other panelist, Mr. Prashant Chinta.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, I want your perspective on today's topic.
Yes. More to do with Dr. Suresh's talk on pneumatic tube. Perhaps we are also started manufacturing this pneumatic tube for Dr. Dinakar's upcoming hospital. So the biggest dilemma here was about what should be the kind of payload that we should consider when we are designing a pneumatic tube, because the larger load, as we see, would be from the pharmacy to when you start looking at cost cost as a factor when it comes to between capex and then the opex. So bringing in this opex cost and amortizing that across the investment that you make, it is very important to have pharmacy operation well streamlined to kind of be automated. While one part is more to do with your um, prescriptions and prescription automation, but physical movement of this in IPDs is where it is important. So when we see this, what should be the Dr. Suresh, you've been a long user of the pneumatic tube. So what should be the typical payload that you may have to consider even for a hospital of about, today we see more and more hospitals with 50, 60 beds are all talking about having the pneumatic tube. So what should be the payload that you should consider out there, doctor? That is question number one. Two, what should be the strategy for even smaller hospitals with lesser than 50 beds to consider this pneumatic tube?
Okay. Come to the first question is, in the Indian scenario, if you look at it, most hospitals are using the pneumatic system predominantly for laboratory samples and maybe blood bank, but I would say 90% it's for laboratory samples. So for them, payload is not a big deal. When it comes to pharmacy, how many hospitals, I know Dr. Nair is being very progressive when he wants to use it for pharmacy. So giving an estimate, it's going to be a guesstimate as the payload, because typically if you say infusion normal saline 500 ml works out to half a kilo, but then the physical constraints come in. So if you're going to put 2-3 bags, the container is not going to be big enough to handle it. So I think when I didn't know you were here, I mean, you had to give me a video, so next time I can use your company's video instead of a foreign company's video for the pneumatic system. But I think something like 2.5 kilos makes sense, because otherwise the container is going to become much bigger. Instead, they're going to use multiple containers, I guess.
Yep.
And sorry, that was the first question. The second question was
for hospitals of about 50 and smaller.
Cost is going to be the number one factor, to be frank. Because like I said, most people are going to say, let me use manpower. But the practical issues, like I said, is manpower take leave, they go on temple festival, and then they're supposed to make the run every, say, half an hour. It slowly becomes 45 minutes, it becomes 1 hour. So if the cost is attractive, I think smaller hospitals also will come on board. Again, it depends if they've got the lab collection right in front of the lab, it doesn't make sense for them. Or if the pharmacy, like I said, is patients come and buy the medicines from the pharmacy, it's only the ICU, they can stock medicines over there, then it doesn't make sense. But along with cost, unless it makes practical sense for them, I don't think you're going to be able to penetrate that market. So focusing on slightly bigger hospitals would probably make sense.
Yeah, one factor that we really are considering is about bringing down the cost, doctor. As you see, there are very few players eagerly, anybody who are there in India who's serious players into this, because manpower is always considered. Which is a wrong concept when it comes to delivering the quality of service that I predominantly see. One of the major targets also for us when we really looked at this pneumatic tube was in all the toll booths, because shipping out the cash that they collect was an important factor. But thanks to the government of India who moved it into the fast track method, of course, it's still not efficient enough, but then it put a brakes on this. But therefore, our focus was more on a medical industry. As you said, 200 years old, this technique has been in practice. However, our objective is to kind of see how we can kind of reduce the cost, while it's a physical set of hardware that goes in there, but we are working on techniques to kind of reduce the cost, to even see how we could do a retrofit into a smaller hospital with as lower beds as 50, doctor.
Prashant, can I ask you what is the current cost of that for a 50-bedded hospital?
Doctor, this could slightly vary, but then ballpark number is what we are currently working is at about 1 lakh per station.
1 lakh per station, okay.
And that could kind of vary with respect to the distance of tubing. as well as we are looking at about a 5-inch tube, doctor.
Okay, okay.
So
Now,
that
as you
should be
rightly said, the old technology,
yeah.
It was there in Birmingham Children's Hospital in 1989 when I was working.
Okay.
So, it was at that time it was not available in India, and when we came back, the cost was exorbitant. So we definitely didn't do it in Cloud9 because when we started Cloud9 15 years ago, it was about 15 lakhs. So it was not worth it, and that's why we didn't do it. But if you are paying 1 lakh per entry, then I think it's doable.
Yes, doctor. I have your number, and I there to see you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Prashant, there is one question which has popped up. Is there any rental system where you would set up the complete pneumatic tube system and hospital have to give the rentals per month, not completely investing, because this model has been quite effective in other medical equipments and other things. Do you have anything like that?
Currently, no, but there could be some things that I can always consider, doctor, because there are NRE cost is what we call non-recurring cost, which could be more to do with some design licensing, and then if you see, apart from the physical hardware, a lot of electronics is what we are kind of putting in there in terms of communication, and then dialing into the other. So as you see, technology has also become more and more inclusive nowadays, and you don't really need so much of discrete circuits and the computer to manage the whole thing, and everything today can be into one small microcontroller. So that way, there is some cost that we can always look at as a rental cost or a maintenance cost, where physical hardware, where I really go and buy like the pumps, and then suction and blowers, and then this physical tubing, and this could be the cost that hospital can bear, but whereas some of this engineering can always be observed, and then it could be amortized as a rent or leasing cost, doctor. That I am open to see.
Yeah, and there's one more question is regarding the pneumatic tubing system. Suppose if it is installed, what is the lifespan of the pneumatic tube system?
So it's a physical movement that really happens here with respect to the pod or the tube. So there is always a maintenance with respect to the friction that causes in the movement of this pod. There is some lining that is always there which will kind of get affected. But what we are trying to do is we see this tube which comes there as to be more a physical structure, and then we are kind of choosing such tube that doesn't really get worn out over a period of time, but whereas the pod itself is something that requires some kind of servicing. So typically we are looking about 2 to 3 years is where the rubber lining and things like that will get little worn out. And then there's always the risk of, not risk, we are kind of designed it in such a way that it doesn't get stuck, or else the efficiency will come down. The time taken to kind of tube to travel between point A to, or sorry, the part to travel between point A to B would become longer, and that eventually add on to your OPEX cost. Though it's not very high, but then yes, electrical consumption, power consumption, things like that will be more. So about 2 to 3 years is what we see, sir, that requires some kind of servicing.
The next question is, what is the annual maintenance cost after 2 years?
We are Indian companies, are not very high. So
if you're okay, you can give the approximate range.
See, there are two things. Normally, even in our products like the nurse call system or the OPD callers that we are kind of building, what we really look at is, I really liked Vinod's one point that he mentioned about 8 years warranty. This is what is really required in a fraternity to sell, because there are a lot of multinationals who have kind of come in here and then given with their reach. But whereas for a company like us who are startups and then kind of trying to prove a point that we are here as a long term. So the two things that we talk about, one is AMC and the CMC. CMC is what I see would sell very well because of the trust factor. That is, come what may, we are there to kind of support, because for me the hardware cost is one. Apart from that, don't worry about the support. So it could be anything between 15-20% when we talk about the CMC. kind of replace. That's a kind of typical numbering on which we work, sir.
Okay, but still 15% of annual maintenance for any machine would be little higher. Ideally, it's around 5 to 7% or maximum up to 10%. So you're telling it is around 15% of the total cost.
When I'm talking about comprehensive maintenance contract, see here people talk about annual maintenance contract where they come and they say like this hardware is blown, so you need to kind of buy this and this is an add-on cost. But normally when you see this kind of hardware equipments, first year, second year onwards is when you got to when you get to see a small problems that shows up. So comprehensive is something that covers the entire replacement. See, there has been a scenario where one of this nurse call system, the entire lining had some issue, and then the whole power supply and all the units had blown. We just went ahead and replaced because they were part of the maintenance. This is the kind of thing that kind of and in one place I'll tell you we are using some kind of USB chargers for our nurse call system, and this being a typical chargers used in our mobile phones. So every week they were losing one, and they had to kind of put a CCTV camera, and to their dismay, they had to see one of their own staff was kind of leaking this. Sorry about that, but then we had to replace every time this was kind of going. So we had to change the whole design. But then we said, like, as a maintenance contract that you have signed with, we are not even going to charge you for change of design, and then the entire hardware change is what we incorporated there at no cost. So these are some of the things that we really bring in.
Yeah, the next question is how much electricity it would consume when it comes to using it all the time in a month approximate.
Sir, see, this is very subjective reference, but I will tell in terms of the current consumption. We are talking about typically a 2 horsepower motor. 2 horsepower is something like 750 watts, 1.5 kilowatts. That is 1 hour you use, about 1.5 watts is what it will be used. So you don't continuously use this. So in a day, even you are using it for an hour cumulative time, that would be about 1.5 watts plus other electronics put together about half a watt. So 2 watts is what we are talking about in a day when you use at least 1 hour cumulative per day.
Yeah, Dr. Suresh, you have raised the hand. After that, I will invite Mr. Syed, the pharmacy in charge, to share his experience. Over to you, Dr. Suresh, first.
Yeah, what Prashant Chinta was saying is actually true, because we've had the pneumatic system for more than, I think, 10 close to 12 years now. And the containers, the pods that go in, have a lining which is talking about. And they do undergo wear and tear. And unfortunately, it's not a serviceable item. The cost of replacing the lining is only a little less than a new container, that we end up buying new containers. So if he's providing a solution where the lining is what keeps an airtight seal between the pod and the tube, so that when compressed air pushes it, it moves. So it's a critical part of the whole system. And like Prashant Chinta was saying, it does have wear and tear. And one of the things I think advantage of being an Indian company is, rather than saying replace the whole thing, he can provide a solution where it can be serviced and life extended. Prashant, I think I'm correct.
Yeah, right, doctor. Thanks for endorsing.
Yeah, so there is always a jugaad which will happen in Indian system. All right. So now I invite our another panelist, Mr. Syed. He is the pharmacy in charge for Trustwell Hospital, Bangalore. Mr. Syed, can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Yeah. So Syed, for you, as a pharmacy in charge, what is your take on using the tube system, which you feel is better, man management tube system? Because since you are in charge, you will have a lot of practical difficulties in terms of people leaving, your team members leaving, then 24/7 giving services in a multi-specialty hospital, and the stress handling the entire pharmacy, consumables, inventories. What is your take on the pneumatic tube system? Plus, what are the difficulties you face in your day-to-day, job?
Day to day, first thing I didn't understand the tube system, sir. First thing. I'm
Pneumatic
sorry.
tube system, that the vacuum where in the lab you put in the tube and you press it,
Ah,
it will suck inside. No, that one.
yes, yes, that, okay, okay. So, repeat the question, sir, please, regarding the tube system.
Yeah. So see, in your day-to-day, first we'll start with your practical experience. You would like, how are you handling the team members? What are the difficulties you are facing in running a pharmacy? What problems are you facing every day in running a pharmacy?
Difficulties in facing the pharmacy is, first of all, the ordering system should be correct. First thing, it will be very difficult when we manually order, or on the system if you order also. It should be online ordering. So manual ordering will be very difficult, because manual ordering, it will take at least so many times we'll be ordering on manually. So early in the morning when it comes for the duty, first you have to check the system and you have to order it on the system itself, like online ordering. And second thing is, difficulties, staff should be good in giving the medicines and checking the prescriptions. They should be known. They should be, for billing. Pharmacists should sit on the billing. The pharmacy assistant can dispense, in the sense they can collect and give it the medicine. Then dispensing, the pharmacist should do on the billing side and the dispensing side also. So more difficulties when the pharmacy assistant will give. There will be so many mistakes while dispensing. Means they will give them some substitute. We will be having some other thing in the system. They will be giving, for example, if Dolo means, they will be giving Crocin or Calpol, like that. So antibiotics also, like Augmentin or Advent, we will be having Advent there, but physically we will be having Augmentin and Advent both. But in the system it will be Advent only. So like this, problems will be facing. And that tubing system, I didn't understand regarding that one, sir. I'm sorry to say.
No problem, no problem. Another thing is inventory management. What are the problems do you face when you do inventory management?
For main problem is expiry. Main thing, we have to check the expiries while inventorying the inventory management, and the damages will be there. Main first thing is expiry only, sir, and return to vendor. Expired 3 months before, we have to check it and we have to uh, give to the vendors or the distributors. Inventory
Okay.
management in this, like there will be limited stocks, store, what is the shelf management will be there, limited. Like for example, quantity will be 6 or 10, which will be moving fast. We'll keep it 10 as a correct. This should be every time the stock should be available, 10 pieces. So like this, we can manage the inventory. First thing is expiry itself, main thing. Next, return to vendor.
How frequently do you check in your day-to-day practice all this expiry, near expiry, or costly items? How frequently you should check? What is your suggestion on?
Like this, in the system, we'll be having ABC analysis. Means A is nothing but high volume medicines. High volume A alphabet. Again, B comes medium value medicines. C is what the fast moving, like small quantity, like Dolo 650, Crocin or Dexona injections, like this will be there. Low cost items. So every 15 days we'll be checking high value items. Every 15 days once. We have to check high value items every 15 days once. And fast moving items, we have to check every weekly once. For example,
Okay.
Dolo or
Every 15
Dexona injections or fast moving injections, we have to check once in a week. And high value injections, we have to check 15 days once. Like vaccines will be there, costly injections will be there, meropenem will be there. This we have to check 15 days once. And expiry,
Okay.
monthly once you have to check expiry. 1 day, full day expiry should be checked. Full day, 1 day. We have to fix a date. Every month, 25th or 24th, we have to check the expiries.
With your experience, what is the approximate revenue loss happens in a month, even after doing a good audit in the pharmacy? So you have invented you have inventory of say 1 lakh rupees, and you have been doing in 15 days, once in according to the cost of the medicine. When you do an audit, there will be some amount of loss which happens. So what is that percentage? Like in 1 lakh, how much money is lost if you do or if you don't do, with your experience?
Well, in this, for 1 lakh, it will be only 5,000 rupees.
Okay,
Loss will be
5% your
5%.
okay,
That also 5% in the sense cutting strips will be there, and damage breakage injections will be there. Breakage injections. These both includes 5,000 rupees. 5%.
So now yeah, now I request Dinakar sir, if you have any questions from your side, please go ahead, sir. Sir, kindly unmute and speak, sir. You're muted. Kindly unmute, sir.
Sorry. Suresh, excellent talk. Vinod, as usual, very good. Kishore Kumar, as usual, star. No need to talk anything regarding Kishore Kumar, sir. Okay, number one. And Syed, it's nice. Syed, your experience is very good. I request you to take some tips from Dr. Suresh or today's talk, just what I observed, because now I think so you are very good, well expert and experienced, and I think so instead of wasting 1 day for the pharmacy, okay, auditing we have to check it because we don't know, but I think so if we will accommodate or take the software of the, I'm not telling only Dr. Suresh, take any pharmacy this thing, but what I have seen the pharmacy 2-3 things. Suresh pharmacy, what he is having is excellent itself. It will tell when is the expiry date, at least 60 days early. It will tell us this medicine is expiring. Number one, very good. Number second, which is the high value, low value, that will also tell us. Second thing, and only thing, Shaila, volume decrease. So the second thing what I felt is, Suresh, you are telling about the pharmacy racks that I have seen in Chennai, I mean exhibitions and wherever that medical expo will be there in the 2-3 places in abroad as well as in Chennai, in Hyderabad. Mainly, I think so, Shuttler or Culter. I don't know the company name, Suresh. Culter, ID Culter or Shuttler. Whether which is silent, shelter, what is that? I don't know. Which is silent because no, Shakuntala J is silent. Like that, we don't know which is silent here. In that, I have seen each pharmacy, whenever you enter in the computer, that digitally it will show whether in the track what is kept, the 20 strips or 100 strips, how many tablets we have taken. Just enter it, this many tablets, it will show these many tablets are remaining, and the name also will display. And at the same time, that rack number 1, rack number 2, rack number 3, rack number 4, and then column 1, column 2. In that column, when in the column, and this is the rack, it will show where is the medicine kept. So you are telling, suppose if the pharmacist is a new pharmacist, that senior might have been busy in some other work, so at least he can go. Do you think you have seen that? Because I have seen in the many exhibitions. Now I am a new, I want to invent it. So Shuttler or Cutler, it is their ID Cutler. Chennai people are importing from China, they are doing. You have any experience? One is with the software integrated to that system.
I think you're talking about Shooter, the Taiwanese company, which is what we use in our pharmacy. The thing, but you're saying that the shutters, the racks themselves have a display.
Yeah, that racks themselves, I mean, itself, it is having the display. That software is integrated to that. Everything is wired. It will show this is the box number 1. This is the column and everything it is written. Where is the pharmacy? When you press it in the computer, that will keep on blinking till we take that medicine. So new pharmacist. Okay. Now, Syed was telling Advent is somebody has written, Augment is written because they kept it whether it is a B or C. So according to the now previous days, we used to keep according to the ABC pharmacy one side to get accustomed. Then we have to become even like a, sorry to use Syed, I'm not talking anything. I'm just telling you, we are used to that. Suppose I have a donkey, I have kept it in my house. Every day it will go to the water side. It will only come. There is a proverb, no Canada, like that it is there. So old pharmacists used to do that. The new pharmacist, actually, like you people are helping us in the all the softwares. Do you think it is because I have seen from my own eyes with the
No,
IT
sir.
cut.
What you say actually is not new because in the manufacturing warehouses, it's there. It's called a light to pick system.
Yes.
And actually, one of the things that we've been looking at and implementing, we were supposed to shift to a new pharmacy because of the new location. And one of the things, actually, let me digress a bit, which I didn't present in my presentation. Quite often, when you're setting up a hospital, you allocate a space for a pharmacy and you tend to outgrow the space. And then you need to move to a bigger space. So one of the things, since you brought up this rack system shooter, I think, they are a modular system rather than building wooden shelves or things. It makes it easy to shift from one location to the other, just an added point. And if they have a system which has displays, it should be an open system that can be integrated with your software. But we are also looking at adding LEDs at each of these racks, which will light up. The people who are picking it will have handhelds. So rather than they just need to, like if you go to even a restaurant, Saravana Bhavan over here in Tamil Nadu and probably Adi, they have mobile device take your order. Like that, we are planning to provide mobile handheld devices, which would give them the list of items to pick for each prescription. So once they've picked it, they get allocated to the next one. And as they're picking it, you can have color coded lighting. So if blue is this person, that they just go to whichever shelf is blue and they can go pick it up. So these are some of the options that we're looking at. And if someone's already got it, it might be more expensive buying it from them, but it's possible.
Suresh, it is very, very, very minimal cost. Very, very minimal cost. I request you to implement it before you are going to give me. Please, I am requesting you to implement it because I have seen that. I'll give you all the addresses to you. That
Please,
is number one. No, no, no. I'm requesting you. No, no, because you are doing a great job. From my heart, I am telling you. I have seen your pharmacy software. Amazing. No other. Just this one also. I was thinking, why can't and ID this thing and where is your equipment? There are so many things are there with that. Everything I'll be sending in your WhatsApp. The second question to Dr. Suresh. The main pharmacy, I know that according to the law, we should have 15 by 12 or 12 by 12 according to the law, minimum pharmacy required. Okay. After that, suppose if it is a 150 bedded hospital, you are telling in your first slide, Suresh, multiple pharmacies are better for the better catering. Yes, for that also inside the hospital ground, okay, we will follow 12 by 12 or 14 by 12 by 12. But inside the hospital, according to the floor, say suppose if the ward is there, we will catering for the ward, whatever the medicines. Suppose ICU is there, NICU, PICU, catering for the medicine, what we are there. For adult ICU, do you think that dimension is recommended there also or need not be?
Okay, then let me clarify. If you have a store inside where inpatients go and buy the medicine, then you have to cater to the size requirement. If you are billing it from a store inside the hospital, like I said, cash and carry kind of thing. So again, like I said, Tamil Nadu is 120 square feet, 10 by 12. Looks like Karnataka is 12 by 12. You're saying
Same.
1 square feet.
12 by 12.
So if you are billing and patients are buying from that outlet, it needs to meet that size requirement. Now, if it's being billed along with the patient's discharge bill, it's issuing, or you're having even a cupboard where medicines are stocked and staff nurses can go pick it up, or like that, then because you're not billing it to the patient, then this size requirement doesn't come into play.
Okay, so we can cheat the government. Don't worry. We can make the bill in the ward. We can collect it. We can tell them to go out buy it. No, because if there is something, no, we are all humans. We can do so many things. We can do. And one more thing, sorry to use this. In your software, return of, because my surgeon was worried, and when we sat with Gautam, he was beautifully explaining. So return of the drugs.
Yeah.
So return of the drugs means, suppose if surgeon has written something like, I think so Vinay is also there. So in some medicines he has written, operation is over, they were about to get discharged. So return of the drugs. How can we return the drugs to the pharmacy? How can we discount
Okay.
in the software?
Yeah, I'll tell you, in the theater, what we follow is we don't ask them to pre-purchase. We actually use the medicines from the theater stock, and whatever was used is sent to them to be paid at the pharmacy as a bill.
So is it better? Is it better, or we write and give? Because suddenly what happens after the operation, they will tell these many medicines. Arey, kitna hua, kya hua? So many hangamas will happen according to the areas. So is it better to write and give?
Even if you write and give, it can be returned. But what I would suggest
so it can be returned. Machine will, I mean, computer will accept it and show.
It will accept it. You can restrict certain medicines can't be returned. For example, injectables, typically, anything that needs refrigeration is not returnable normally. But if this is under the hospital's control, then it can be provisioned. The reason we don't accept returns on refrigerated items is because you don't know how they've stored it.
Yes. So second, this one, you told in your talk, we prescription. Suppose in a OPD, doctors are sitting. They will write the prescription. They will write all the things. So patient will get up and go to the pharmacy. He will ask for the prescription. Okay. Suppose if he doesn't want to buy, the pharmacy is busy. We are going to take the prescription in the counter, OP counter. Then they will walk out. Suppose if they want to buy, they can buy. Yes. Do you think, is it a good procedure? Go to the pharmacy and take all the doctor's prescription. Go. Is it patient will accept? What is your experience? Because it's not my controversy, our surgeon controversy. No. How can patient can go to the pharmacy as if you are compelling them? So what is your experience?
Like I said, I just gave that as one of the options. I know some hospitals that are doing it. We don't do it. We are giving the prescription directly to the patient currently. But
it's better to give a prescription directly then and there.
But the idea was, how do we? I'm being practical here. When I talk as a hospital owner, how do I get the patient into the pharmacy? So if I say, one of the things which we're looking at is have a qualified pharmacist who would be a counselor. So you'd say, the counselor will be there. He will explain how the medicines is to be taken. He will also give you a prescription. So he'll take the prescription and say, this has to be taken after food. This has to be done like that. So there is a value addition for the patient walking to the pharmacy, because there is a pharmacy counselor who will explain how the medicines have to be taken. Doctor is too busy. He writes his medicine and say, he'll explain as to how this has to be taken. So that way, there's a reason for the patient to go there and collect the prescription.
Yeah, because there are next to our hospital already 20% discount. Already one big board has come and pharmacy started like 16% discount next to yours. Like that. So people will be very difficult. So what you are telling is correct. And one more thing, what you feel, because even Mr. Vinay, there are some questions for you, please. And even Mukund is also there. Our surgeon Vinay is also there. Our hospital is in such a place that there is a highway. All RTA cases are going to come. Neuro, ortho, spine. I don't know what all things, facial or orthodontist. Because we cannot keep all the equipments like Dr. Mukund is telling. So if we will request that surgical people, do you think they will keep all the equipments? If we will use, we will pay them. Is it feasible?
Yes, Dr. Dinkar, it is very much feasible now. So I do a lot of reconstructive surgeries because I got a caster knee rolled small forceps, small retractors. I had made a set of my own, and invariably I can guess when I go to some different hospitals or nursing homes what will be there, what will not be there. So majority of the times I carry my own instruments. It takes a personal set where I should not struggle during the course of the procedure, or just put a request to the OT staff where it is not available. They can't make it available. Keeping a set is a very good way to move forward rather than totally entirely depending on the hospital to provide me everything.
Suresh, what is your opinion?
Regarding vendors keeping their equipment on the premises,
Yes.
I have not seen that, frankly.
Okay, Syed. Syed. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Syed.
Yes, sir.
Syed, we need you.
Hello, sir.
ಈಗ
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ನಾವು ಆರ್ ಟಿ ಎ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆಲ್ ಆರ್ ಟಿ ಎ
Okay.
ಕೇಸಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್. So neuro equipments or spine, rod, I don't know what all, orthopedic screw, net to bolt, everything they are using. So all those things, I know that some minimal things we will procure it. So we cannot pay all those things. And somebody was telling what is that replacement and all. It is a elective. It is not an emergency. All those medicines in your trust, because trust pharmacy is a very big pharmacies. What we know that.
Yes.
So what
Yes.
I feel is, do you think we can ask all the surgeons, surgical equipment people to keep it with us whenever we use? We will pay you.
If the vendor, if the vendor, our OP, now we can keep it because they'll give in a DC. They'll give a DC. They'll send it without billing. After
Okay.
it is used, they will bill again and they'll send the bill to us.
Okay. And
So-
are you catering any neurosurgery, neurology, spine, ortho, all those things? Are you people are keeping?
Yes, sir. We are keeping. We are buying. When it is not used, we'll give it back to them. They'll send it in DC.
Okay. They will send it in DC. Thank you. Thank
So,
you. What
Doctor,
about Vinod?
yeah, Doctor,
Vinod?
Doctor Sir, that I am coming to that one. From my experience, I can see the implants suppliers, like plates, screws, and all those things, along with the instruments. They keep the implants in the hospital, and depending on the surgeon use, they will bill it to the hospital and they will replace with the new one. That's mainly which is happening, only the implants and the related instruments. Example, if you wanted a spine, they wanted to put plates and screws. There is a specialized instruments will use depending on the company. Now Stryker is supplying and different guy is supplying, so they will have their own proprietary instruments will be there. So along with the instruments, they will keep the plates, screws, and titanium plates or SS plates or whatever it may be. They'll keep it as part of the full box. And depending on what the doctor is pick and choose from that one, end of the day or next day, they will replace, and whatever they picked, they will bill it. That's what is happening in most of the hospital across Bangalore as well as in other places.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Vinod, there is one small question to you. You have told in your PPTs. So there are surgical sets. We know that already the surgeon will usually, general surgeon will buy according to the sets. So neurosurgeon set, ortho surgeon set, surgery, orthodontic, all those sets. Do you think more than a OT, it will be like a Gordon to buy all the equipments and keep it? Do you think?
No, doctor. Because if you see a multi-specialty hospital, there are multiple OTs will be there, and multiple specialities were there. And I'm sure that one neurosurgeon, he has his own specialized instruments which he don't like to give one general surgeon or a gynec or ortho surgeon to use it, because that is very delicate. Okay, the same way the ortho
So that
surgeons
means it's better.
same way the ortho surgeon's equipment like bone ronger or a Kedison punch or anything, which maximum spine surgeon can use it. Okay, general surgeon don't have any use of that one, or a neurosurgeon cannot use it, that one. So depending on the specialty, only thing is you can, all the surgeons can use it. Like, the Alice, the general surgery equipment like Alice forceps or artery or round clip, that anyway as part of the set, autoclaved and kept by the OT sister for one place. So you have to remove it and take it one or two if you need from there. I don't think depending on that, maximum depending on the surgery comes, try to, other than the standard sets, the costly sets and all, depending on the need comes, you procure, no need for, so example, I saw neurosurgery. The LiLAR retractor very expensive, and three-pin head setter is very expensive. If the surgery starts after you are buying the microscope and all, okay, the surgery starts, you can think about that. When if the three-pin head setter, if you go for an Integra imported, it will be 10 lakhs rupees. If you go for an Indian one, it will be 3.5 lakh rupees. The LiLAR retractor Indian are 1.5 lakh rupees. If you go for a German one, it will be around 4 lakhs rupees. So that's the way, you don't have to invest it right away. When it comes, you can think about that one.
Okay. Prashant Chinta, are you here? Prashant?
Yes,
Prashant
doctor.
Chinta. Okay. So you are, I think so, whatever Suresh was telling, that hotel, all those things, I think so you are doing it. You are already doing for all the hotels and other things. I think so you people also can develop. I don't know whether you have it or not. For pharmacy thing, whatever the pharmacy racking, lighting system, I think so it's a simple lighting system. You people can develop it. When you are developed so many things, you can develop and have integration with the Suresh, so that it will be a good thing. Hope you people will join. Sir Kishore,
Yes.
sir. Okay, Prashant, tell me.
If I may, there are two things that I would love to kind of get associated with Suresh to see if we could integrate the hardware and software to put together for such an application. One that we are already working for one retail industry is about the rack. It's IoT based rack weighing system. Of course, this is more to do with the kind of today, if you know, Google have this free stores they call, where you just walk in, pick the things, and that's automatically built to you and you walk out. That's a kind of system that is there. So it does with the multiple methods, the cameras, the the racks that you kind of pick the item from, it will straight away deduct from their system and then bill it to you. So you should be a member to walk into these stores, and that's kind of one that they are looking at. Now coming to much application where you start looking at the inventory management, where you would already have, there is something called e-ink display, where this display can show what are the medicines out there and what is the quantity there. So as and when you start kind of removing it from your billing system, as and when you start billing these medicines, it will kind of start pinging. And it could also kind of change the color of this display to say like it is below the average stock. And it is a bit intelligent also with all this AI today coming in, which says like what is the rate at which it is kind of getting consumed. So should it be kind of flagging you at 60% lower the stock, or it would look at the time to replenish the stock and then it will kind of give you the indication. So there's something that as a software from Suresh and hardware in combination from us can always work on that. That's number one. Number two, what we have seen in large pharmacies, at least, there is a lot of waiting time when people get at the time of discharge. So we kind of give them what is called as wireless pager. So they can hold the pager and they need not kind of flock around that area of pharmacy, which would kind of make others to walk out. There could be someone who comes in there to buy a small quantity of medicine. He says, okay, I'll buy this later. In Canada, they say, that would not happen, because when they see a lot of crowd at the pharmacy, a lot of people walk out. So to avoid that, we kind of give what is called as wireless pager. So this pager can be issued, and when the customers are sitting there, the place is quieter, and then it's kind of a bit pleasant also for the new ones to kind of walk in and give their prescription and then wait. So this pager would help them to organize the queues as well, sir. That is readily available with me.
It's something like that using in the restaurant?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly, Vinod.
Yeah.
Vinod, in all vendor restaurants, Prashant is the one given.
Thanks, Prashant. I'm sure we can create some nice things together.
Sure. Looking forward to Suresh.
Kishore, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, now you have to give input about our pharmacy. Anything new things what Dr. Suresh and Prashant and Vinod has told. Anything for a new beginners we can develop.
Yeah. See, I think Suresh has every word Suresh has uttered is a golden word. It comes from experience, personal tribulation. So I think you have to have his PPT, underline each and every word and a letter, because he has comprehensively put all the points which we learned over a period of 3 years, not 3 months, 3 days, 3 weeks. We learned all those points over a period of 3 years, 15 years back. So it is very practical experience what he has uttered, and I think it's very sensible. And I don't think you can add anything because it is coming from the heart and the experience of running a hospital and a doctor, and you can't get anything better than that. I can vouch for that because all those things we have struggled. And second thing is, the stock checking, expiry date checking, all that can be handled by the software. In fact, uh, the Syed was talking about dedicating 1 day a month for checking the stock. We had that in the beginning of when we started Cloud9. I'm telling you, one day we had one vaccine which was expired just a week before was given by inadvertent, and then we had to counsel them, compensate the parents because they were software technology people and read the expiry date. And it was a flu vaccine, for heaven's sake. Flu vaccine, usually even the WHO says the margin of expiry date is about 3 months. And it was expired only 1 week back, and it didn't fall into that monthly checklist which they were doing. And it was a very, very bad experience what we went through. So nobody should go through such things. And doesn't matter how much good intention the pharmacists may have, manual checking is like going back to analog areas. You have a digital area, you have a barcode systems in place, and expiry date should be flashed 1 month before its expiry date happens. You can set up the alarms 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So long expiry date drugs can be warned at 3 months before the expiry date. Short expiry ones can be alarmed at 1 month or 1 week, depending upon your stock and other things. So all these things can be avoided by just having a proper software. Suresh, just wanted to ask you a question. Is the software you are using in pharmacy, is it your indigenous or did you?
It's own software because we have a sister concern where I run my own software company, and pharmacy is actually the first department even before we had a software company. Way back in, if I think it was like 80 to 89, we did computerization, and then that was the first department to be comprehensively computerized, and this is like the fourth, fifth iteration of that experience.
Brilliant. I wish I had met you. I would have used your software. Anyway, and
Sir, he is having 5,000 square feet, completely dedicated, more than 50 people working only to develop hospital software, integrating all the equipments to the central nursing station. From there to the ID cloud, what is it? HIS 7, 8 or something like that. You can see in your mobile. And more than anything else, he is doing that. He is, I think so, he is from Mars. He is not from Earth. And already Dr. Prashant Gowda wearing one t-shirt. Please respect, because Kishore Kumar sir was wearing last class Harvard. So he is telling respect Harvard, respect Suresh and everybody. So he is not talking, he is showing already respect.
Okay. So I understood Prashant, respect, and Suresh is from Mars. And where is Dinakar from?
Sir,
we all go around.
Prashant, if anybody wants to ask any questions, please.
Yeah, Naresh sir, you had raised your hands. Please unmute and ask the question, sir. Over to you. Naresh sir, you just turn off your video and then the voice will be very
sir,
clear.
you are audible.
Audible, sir, audible. Turn off the video and speak.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
What are the medicines which are in daily use or in commonly which we use are very sensitive to the temperature, and how the temperatures are maintained in the pharmacy?
It's a very simple thing, sir. You have technology advanced fridge available now, with each shelf maintaining a different temperature. You just need to buy the fridges and temperature monitor inside the fridge. So that's all you need to do.
How much rational it is to use the multi-dose vial in a multiple patients? Suppose you have to give meropenem 125 milligram to 4 patients, and if I open one 500 milligram vial and give it to the 4 patient, is it rational?
No, legally, medico-ethically, you're not supposed to use one opened vial to some other patient. I mean, if it is being used, we are talking in the open forum, certainly it is not recommended, and is definitely not a ethical practice. It is not medico-legally sustainable either.
Sir, how much cost effectively the solar power system in a small hospital setup? Use of solar power system in a small nursing homes, small hospitals.
Yeah.
How much cost effective it is?
Solar power is a different subject. We are talking pharmacy here, but solar subject is a.
The next class is there, sir.
It's the cost has come down significantly in the last 15 years. When we started Cloud9 15 years ago, we had a solar power continuously laid on the roof of the hospital. Compared to that, the technology has improved and cost has come down. And in fact, if you use solar power properly, your electricity bills can be quite minimized.
Also, sir, Naresh Prasad, sir, regarding the solar system, we have solar system and hospital less than 50 bed, 100 bed, more than 150. We have one more class. The expert is going to come and tell you in India which one is better for the which hospital, which area, where you are located, what is the things, and even not only solar. If you are staying in Dehradun or somewhere, where is the wind speed, everything, one expert is going to come and give a class.
Sir, how much effective is the ETO machine when you want to reuse the tubing systems like the ventilator tubings or the tubings of the CPAP?
Sir, Naresh Prasad, sir, for this also, there is one class about the autoclaving and CSST ETO that is going to come, sir. Next, because like you, sir, we are also very much interested to learn. We have called for complete CSST, ETO, plasma sterilization, everything we have one class, sir.
Sir, can I note down your telephone number? Dinakar, sir, can I note telephone number, sir, WhatsApp number or mobile number?
हाँ सर मैं देता हूँ आपका नंबर प्रशांत गौड़ा के साथ है सर. Sir, it is there with the Dr. Prashant Gowda, and I am also having Naresh Prasad, sir. You are regularly attending since 1 year. From January you are attending. We know you, we respect you. You are having 200 bedded hospital. We respect you. I know you are a very senior person. Okay, I will only call. I will only give you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Prashant.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Prashant.
Yes, sir.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Suresh, I think so. I'll be giving you all the things about the Cutler, ID Cutler, or the Shuttler, whatever it is there. I will send all the things to you. Please see that what is there, whether you can integrate all those things. And I think so you can develop in one day all those things, all are something like a simple digital wire. You can sit, if you sit for 1 hour, I think so you can do it yourself. Okay, if there is a multiple people are there, pressed, augmented, it will show 1, 2, 3, 4, which computer it has come, that also will show. Suppose if there is a pharmacy is very big, augmentin is placed in the same thing. Okay, it will show computer number 1, computer number 3, computer number 4. It will only show from where it has come. Okay, so it won't switch on till that fellow, computer number 2 fellow will go and take it and go. Okay, he has to just press the button. Okay, all those things are there. Please see as soon as possible. And Suresh, I'm very happy you are there. You are there. Prashant, over to you, please. Vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our
Mukund,
NNF
Doctor,
president.
1 second, sir. Sir, 1 second, sir. Dr. Mukund,
Yes, sir.
we
Yes, sir.
always respect you. I think so. Vinay, Dr. Vinay, surgeon. I think so. I don't know. Where is he? Okay. Vinod, thank you very much. You are the good this thing. And Mukund, you are doing a great job. Hope we understood what you want actually.
Yes, sir.
And the zeal or the enthusiasm what you are having.
Yes.
Definitely in the remote place, whatever you need, we are going to provide you, dear friend. And we don't put any water to your zeal or the energy. We will provide you everything because it is the like what Dr. Kishore was telling. It is a peripheral case. Okay, it is a periphery. We get all the tracheoesophageal fistula, and you want to do esophageal pulling. And I know in whole India, you are the only one person doing the esophageal pull of more than you. Usually, they will tell if the esophagus or whatever trachea, if it is more than two vertebrae, you cannot. You are doing a great job, and you are having the very good vast experience in urology. We will give you everything, Dr. Mukund. No need to worry.
Thank you for
We
your
are
kind.
there with you in the periphery.
See,
And I am getting inspiration from Suresh after seeing his hospital.
so
From my heart, I am talking to him. Okay. And please, you tell your all colleagues, this software is amazing. Amazing. Okay. We are going to actually be missed in the laboratory talk. We should have called him because the laboratory software is amazing and he should have given that day. He should have been a moderator. Anyhow, we will call on the next talk. Prashant Gowda, keep it in the mind. Over to Prashant.
Dr. Dinka, sir. Just a Prashant, just a minute. Dr. Dinka, sir.
Yes.
1.3 kg tough in Prashant, motherhood surgery, sir. The team, patient is doing well. We are very happy for that.
I'm not hungry.
Yeah, he has
Kishore Kumar, sir.
operated. Sir, he has operated in motherhood, sir. Esophageal pull, which you are talking about. We have one case now, completely stable, doing well.
Yes, very good. No, Mukund is a great man. Pediatric surgeon is an excellent. We know him. Okay, over to Prashant.
Yeah. So now I request our NNF president, Kotreshi, sir. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, hello, I'm there. Yeah.
Yes,
only
sir.
Camera
Yes,
is now working. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Few words from you, sir.
Yeah, I am proud to be a president of Karnataka under leadership of Dinakar and Prashant Gowda. Especially thanks for Kishore Kumar, who is joining much more importance of pharmaceutical companies software things. He was telling the simple vaccination expiry date. See, day to day we face a lot of things to be there, and we convince people very much easily when the things are all right. Only counseling part is very much important. And apart from this instrumentation, we need a ethics people who can work at the pharmacy because it is the natural resource of the hospital income. It generates more income to the hospital, and we can show off a good service from a prescription as well as service backup. So like that, solar, Denika was telling, solar, of course, there is a separate class. In a sun rays area, solar has a very good importance according to the bed strength of the hospital. Even I heard that even ventilator setup and the water can be run by solar system itself. So it has been organized well. Of course, Karnataka NNF Society has been a very good PR series from the last 1 year, and wonderful things are going on. I'm very thankful for the faculties and the participants for this opportunity they have given us to say some few words. Thanks to all the delegates and as well as faculties, especially Vishwanthan and Dr. Kishore Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
Thank
your
you, sir.
experience words. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So,
Thanks, sir.
on behalf of NNF Karnataka, again, thank you very much, Dr. Suresh, Dr. Vinod, Prashant Shinta, Kishore Kumar, sir. Anyway, you have all been great contributors for this webinar series. I'm sure all this session is going to help and make a huge impact in the coming days for all the new entrepreneurs, doctors who wants to become, or other investors. Thank you very much. On behalf of NNF Karnataka, have a great evening. Bye, 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 bye.
Thank you.